Hi, everybody. Michael Lazaroff here in St. Louis, and we are very excited to be talking about the Smooth Jazz Cruise 25.1 and 25.2. Guys have been very, very patient. We've had fully reserved on this cruise since February, so it's a lot of pent-up excitement about the cruise, and we are really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's a really, really good lineup, and we have some new things that we are going to discuss. I'm going to turn this over for the moment to Aubrey Pavlik, who's our director of guest communications, among other things, and she's going to do some of the presentation, and then I'll come back and do a lot of the programming stuff and the fun stuff. I'm going to make her do the hard work. Okay, Aubrey, you ready?
Yes, I'm happy to start us off. Thank you all for joining us. Before we do get started, I just wanted to mention a couple of housekeeping items to keep in mind. Right now, you will notice that everyone is on mute, and that's just to avoid any ambient background noise. We would be happy to answer any of the questions that you have. We will take those towards the end of the webinar, and you can submit any of the questions that you have by clicking the red arrow that should be appearing in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. So if you click that and submit your question via the chat feature, we will answer any questions of a general nature here on the webinar. And if it's a very specific question, we will reach out to you just after the webinar to answer that individually. And then finally, this webinar is being recorded. So after the webinar in the next couple of days, we will post it on the Smooth Jazz Cruise website on the booked guest page. That is all for housekeeping. We can dive right in to our pre-cruise information here. So our ship is the Celebrity Summit. For those of you who have sailed with us last year, you know that it's a beautiful ship. It went through the Revolution a few years back, and all of the venues are beautiful. The staterooms have been fully redone. Really one of our favorite ships, and we are looking forward to being back on it. Our sailing dates for the Smooth Jazz Cruise 25.1 is Tuesday, February 11th through Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. And for 25.2, it's Tuesday, February 18th through Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. We will embark and debark in Port Everglades, which is Fort Lauderdale's port. And finally, our ports of call for these cruises. For 25.1, we are going to Key West, Turks and Caicos, and Nassau. And on 25.2, we are going to Puerto Plata, Caicos, and Nassau. So just slightly different there. As far as online check-in goes, it is required for all guests to complete. And we highly suggest doing this online in the comfort of your own home. And what you can do is just go into your Celebrity Cruises account. And so what you will do is go to the link that is provided here, which is celebritycruises.com/account. And then what you can do is you can sign in, or you can create an account if you do not have a Celebrity Cruises account. Once you sign in, the Smooth Jazz Cruise, either 25.1 or 25.2, will automatically show up as one of your upcoming cruises. So starting 45 days prior to the cruise, this online check-in process is open, and you can access it by clicking Start Check-in in your Celebrity account. It can be completed anytime up until 3 days prior to embarkation day. It's a really pretty simple process. It leads you through step-by-step, and it really should only take you no more than 15 minutes per person. You will want to have your passport, a credit card, and your Celebrity Cruises reservation number handy when you want to complete this. During the process, you will also be asked to pick a window of time that you will be arriving to the window. It's called a terminal arrival time. And that is, they're available in half-an-hour windows between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And it's the time that you anticipate that you will be arriving to the actual cruise terminal. So you should take your travel time into account when you're selecting this time. If your flight arrives at 10:30 a.m., we don't suggest selecting that first 11 a.m. window. That's probably not the most realistic. We really just encourage you to be realistic on when you are going to arrive to the terminal, because if you arrive outside of that selected window, there could be a longer wait time. After you complete your online check-in, your Express Pass will be available for you to download and print, and this is available in the same exact place. So right at the end of where you complete your online check-in, that is where it's going to be. And we highly encourage you to print that out and keep it safe with anything that you're bringing with you to the cruise terminal, as it serves as your boarding pass on embarkation day. Finally, our Celebrity Cruises luggage tags become available at 30 days prior to embarkation. So again, it's just right within your Celebrity account. You are going to want to print those out. And then once you arrive into the Fort Lauderdale area, we suggest putting those onto your luggage, definitely prior to giving your luggage over to the porters at the terminal. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Celebrity Pre-Cruise Planner. So as you can see here, there are a number of different items that you can purchase prior to the cruise, and it's all done through Celebrity's Pre-Cruise Planner. So it's a very helpful tool. Again, within your Celebrity account, you can access this by clicking the Plan My Cruise button. So you can make specialty dining reservations, you can book beverage packages, shore excursions, internet packages, spa treatments, any other amenities that you might be interested in. You can also peruse those at your leisure and from the comfort of your own home. There are going to be special prices on these, as Celebrity offers slight discounts on these, and the prices do increase once you get on board the ship. So that's one more reason that we highly suggest that you take a look at any of those things that you might be interested in and purchase those prior to getting on board, because it's easier and oftentimes you're going to get a better price. This year, we have worked with Celebrity to get some special pricing on both the beverage and internet packages. And you will see that those prices are already reflected in your pre-cruise planner once you start accessing those. So the classic and premium alcohol packages are discounted by 20%, which is really a great deal. And then there is also a 10% discount on the non-alcohol package, if anyone is interested in that. For Wi-Fi, we have a 20% off premium Wi-Fi for both 1 and 2 device packages, which is also a really nice discount. And then you also see in there that there are some specials on night 1 in a couple of the specialty restaurants. So if you're interested in dining in one of the specialties on embarkation day, it's really worth checking those out and seeing what's available to you there.
And Aubrey, what is the name of the internet system? Skylink? Is that
Starlink.
it?
Starlink.
Starlink. Sorry about that. For those who have not sailed with us or who have not sailed recently with us, Celebrity's really done a good job with that. It's I'm not going to tell you that it's the same as being on land, because that would be disingenuous, but it is very, very good. And back in the old days, you had to pick the 45 minutes every day that the internet was up, but now it is a really very, very consistent, very, very fast. Okay. Go ahead,
yes,
Aubrey.
Agreed, definitely. All of those items that you might like to purchase can be purchased in Celebrity's Pre-Cruise Planner up until 3 days prior to the cruise. That is when that tool shuts down. So if you'd like to purchase, you can modify any of your purchases, or even if you decide to cancel something that you've already booked, you can get a full refund, and that is until 3 days prior to the cruise. So again, we really highly suggest that you take a look at Celebrity's Pre-Cruise Planner and look at what's available to you, doing that from your own house and with some of those discounts that are available prior to boarding the ship. All right, moving on to our boarding requirements. So passport, you must have a passport that is valid for 6 months after our disembarkation date. Any sort of medications or valuables, we really highly recommend that you keep those on your person, not putting those into your checked luggage. If you're from a country where a visa is needed in order to board the ship or come to US for boarding, that is required to have on you. You will also need your Express Pass, which I just talked about. We really highly suggest that you print that after you complete your online check-in. Sometimes when you're in the terminal on embarkation day, there's a lot going on. You have a lot of stuff that you're carrying. Your phone might not be the most accessible or may have died in travel. So we highly suggest just having a printed pass of that as well for ease. And finally, the wine and spirits allowance on embarkation day. So each person is permitted to bring on one standard bottle of wine, which is 750 milliliters. If you consume that in your room or not in a public area, there's no cost associated with that. If you do choose to open that in a restaurant or bar, there is a small corkage fee that would be associated with that. I think we're on to the next slide. All right, so we will be boarding the ship at Terminal 25 in Port Everglades. When you arrive, if you're coming via taxi or Uber, you can let your driver know to look for the Celebrity Summit signage, or just tell them that you're going to the Celebrity Summit. You can also tell them Terminal 25. Generally speaking, everything is pretty well organized, and there's a lot of signage that people can follow. If you are driving to the port, you can follow the signage as well. And there is a parking garage that is just across the way from the terminal. The terminal is really quite new. I think it was built 4 or 5 years ago, I believe. It was designed for the Edge class ship. So it's really big and beautiful and nice. It's got a lot of screens, a lot of space for sitting if you do need to sit down for a little bit while you're in there. So really a nice way to start your travel with us. Upon arrival, there are a few steps that you should take in order to ensure the best boarding experience. So first and foremost, we really just ask that you follow your terminal arrival time. As I mentioned before, you're required to select that during your online check-in process. And really, Celebrity implemented this a few years ago, and the embarkation process has significantly improved. The boarding windows really just helps with the nice guest flow in the terminal so that we don't have as much lining up really early or really late in the day. So we ask that people abide by those terminal arrival times that you select. The terminal does open at 11 a.m. and you must be in the terminal by 3 p.m. And any of our guests who are utilizing the Jazz Cruises pre-cruise hotel transportation, you can just go ahead during the online check-in process and select the last time slot available. We override that because you have to select a terminal arrival time. We just suggest putting it a little bit later in the day. But once you arrive on those coaches, you are escorted right into the terminal, so you don't have to worry about abiding by that time if you are on one of our pre-cruise hotel transfers. Again, there are a few items that you are going to absolutely need in your hand when you arrive to the terminal. That includes passport, your Express Pass, any medications. We definitely want you to have those on your person, and then any sort of personal items that you might have. When you do first arrive to the terminal, whether you are riding in an Uber taxi, they'll pull up and drop you off, and you can hand your luggage over to the porters. If you are arriving and you're driving yourself, if there are two of you, you can always go pull through, drop off one person with the luggage, and then go to park in the parking garage as well. That being said, one of the first things that you're going to do upon arriving is you're going to hand over your luggage to the porters. So as I mentioned before, the celebrity luggage tags become available 30 days prior to our embarkation day. So we really highly recommend that you place those luggage tags on your luggage once you've arrived to the Fort Lauderdale area. They are not the most durable items. So if you put them on your luggage prior to boarding a plane, for instance, they might come a little bit loose or actually fall off. So we highly suggest not putting those on until you actually get into the area. You will see here that we do have a link to a clear luggage tag holder. This one is from Amazon. I believe they have a variety of them, but these are just nice ways to make sure that the luggage tag that you've printed from your celebrity check-in actually stays on your luggage. They're not very expensive, and it really just gives it a little bit of extra durability to ensure that your luggage is properly marked. And we will share that link to these luggage tag holders in our next Get Ready email as well, for those of you who are interested. So again, you're gonna wanna have those luggage tags on your luggage. Make sure that they are still attached once you give it to the porters. If you happen to have forgotten your luggage tags at home, or if you packed them or didn't end up printing them out, the porters at the terminal will have some extra blank luggage tag holders, so you can let them know. They can double check you on manifest. You're just gonna wanna make sure that they absolutely write your stateroom properly. That is a very, very key piece in order for your luggage to get safely and quickly to your stateroom. So again, you just want to make sure that anything that's written on there is very legible and definitely has the correct stateroom number. Finally, we do highly suggest tipping those same porters who are helping you. These are the people who are helping to make sure that your luggage is getting safely to your room. So a little bit of tipping definitely goes a long way with them.
And if you don't, your luggage will go a long way away, a long way away from the ship that you want to go on. I'm actually joking, but the $10 a bag is what we recommend. And it's just insurance to make sure that your luggage gets to the right place.
Yeah. After you hand over your luggage, you can then enter the terminal and complete your registration. If you've already completed your online check-in and arrived with your Express Pass, this process is super quick. You really rarely, you have to answer a couple questions. They might snap a photo of you if you did not upload a photo during that process, but generally speaking, it takes less than 5 minutes. If you did not complete that online check-in process, it is a little bit longer during that time frame. And then with celebrities' arrival windows, there's rarely a time that guests are really waiting for prolonged periods of time in the terminal. Typically, after you complete the registration process, there might be a slight delay, but most of the time there's a nice flow where you can walk right on board the ship. So you just board the ship when you're cool. Once you get on the ship, staterooms are ready for occupancy, so you can go ahead. We really suggest going to your stateroom right away. Your cruise identification card is going to be right at the door of your stateroom. So you're going to want to pick that up. That serves as your stateroom room key. It serves as the way that you purchase items on board the ship. It also helps identify you for your main stage show. So it's going to either have a red or a blue background on it, which Michael will go into a little bit further in detail a little bit later in this webinar. Your luggage will be at your stateroom by about 6 p.m. Typically, they have been delivering luggage before we're actually setting sail, so around 4 p.m. If you arrive a little bit later to the terminal, that might be up until 6 p.m. And then there are a few very helpful handouts that you're going to receive upon boarding. So we will have a welcome letter, which has a lot of information. It will detail you know, what restaurants are available, where you might be able to go grab a drink at this point. It will go through some of the seating procedures for the nightly shows, and also where you can purchase some of those amenities and how you can access them once you're on board. You will also receive a beautiful souvenir program, which outlines all of our amazing artists that are on board. It has nice photos and bios of them. It talks a little bit about the ship and what our itinerary is. So it's really nice collectible. We do not put our daily schedule in there because oftentimes it has to go to print so far in advance where the daily schedule can often change before we actually board the ship. So in this case, we actually have daily programs that are available to you each night in your room. And then we also have a cruise app. So we started apps last year. For those of you who sailed with us, I think most of you used it and really enjoyed it. We have a couple of different upgrades that we are looking to do for the cruise app, but it's a really nice way to access the daily schedule right on your phone. We highly suggest that you do download the app prior to getting on board, and we will give you some more information about that a little bit closer to the cruise. And finally,
and we will be sharing the, I'm sorry, Aubrey. We will also be sharing a performance schedule with you in a few days before the cruise so that you can plan your days a little bit. So, but as Aubrey said, we used to put it in the souvenir program, the actual schedules, and it was literally 10 to 15% wrong because we had to change things and things like that. A new system, particularly the app, we actually make changes in a real time, and we even have notices when things change. So it is a really cool system. Sorry, Aubrey.
Absolutely. And the final thing that you'll receive when you're boarding the ship is just a lanyard where you can keep that cruise identification card. You do not have to use it, but it's a really convenient way to keep that nice and handy right around your neck. All right, I think we are moving on. So upon embarkation, lunch is available to you. The Ocean View Cafe is on deck 10. That is the main buffet. It's really kind of, it has a lot of food stations and a lot of different options available to everybody once you board. That is starting at 11:30 a.m. and runs, the Ocean View Cafe is pretty much open around the clock. For anybody who is booked into a suite, you have a special lunch that is available for you, and that's in Lumine, which is on deck 4, and that's from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And Aqua and Concierge class cabins also have a special embarkation day lunch that's in the main dining room on deck 5, and that also runs from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Again, we do highly suggest that people, peruse on Celebrity Pre-Cruise Planner to purchase some of those amenities that you might be interested in prior to the cruise. However, if you weren't able to complete those purchases or you forgot something that you'd like to purchase, the time between boarding and the sail away party is a great time to do that. So you'll see here we've outlined where you can do all of these various reservations. The spa is On deck 10 forward, specialty dining will have stations set up in the grand foyer on deck 3 and also by the Ocean View Cafe. Beverage packages can be purchased in any bar. Internet packages, you can connect to the Wi-Fi and follow those instructions. And then finally, shore excursions are available to be purchased at the shore excursions desk on deck 3. Again, we highly suggest doing those because there's not really a one-stop shop. As you can see, if you want to purchase a variety of those items once you get on board, you are going to be walking around the ship quite a bit. So that's part of the reason why we do highly suggest purchasing those in advance. Once you get on board, you are also required to complete the mandatory safety procedure. So you can do this in the Celebrity Cruise app, or if you go to your stateroom, you can turn on the stateroom TV and you can watch the safety demonstration video there. Once you do that, you are required to also proceed to your muster station. So that is listed on your cruise identification card or on the back of your stateroom door. If you're in your stateroom, you can take a look at that. Celebrity will have a number of crew members that are stationed all throughout the ship. So if you want to know where A2 muster station is, they would be happy to assist and point you in the right direction for that. Once you get to your muster station, there will be a couple of Celebrity Cruises staff that will be there to help verify that you did watch the video and record that you completed the safety drill and check you in. Finally, if you have a little bit of extra time before the sail away, we highly suggest just exploring the ship, especially if this is your first time on the Celebrity Summit, or if you haven't been sailing with us in a while. It's a beautiful ship, as I mentioned before. There's a lot of different entertainment venues, so you'll see some of them here, and Michael will talk about them a little bit further. The theater, the Sky Lounge, Rendezvous, you're definitely going to want to know where all of those are. And then you can go ahead and look at some of the dining venues as well. The Cosmopolitan Restaurant, which is the main included dining restaurant, Lumine, Jazz Cruises Chop House. There's a lot of different options. So in that time, we really suggest that you walk around the ship and make sure that you know where you're going, and especially if there's a couple of shows that you want to hit a little bit later in the day.
Great job. You can rest now. Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
Well, let's flip to the entertainment. Great job, Aubrey. We have a terrific lineup this year. Hosts are Bonnie James and Marcus Miller. They've been the hosts for most of the last few years, and they're working on a very special shows. Each of them, Brian Culbertson, Jonathan Butler, Candy Dolfer, Mindy Abair, Eric Marienthal, who is our music director, Peter White, Kirk Whalum, Eric Darius, Judith Hill, Vincent Ngala, Damien Escobar, and Larry Braggs. Those are stars, if you will. What we decided to do this year for our really superstar presentation was we created our own super band. It was to have included a David Sanborn, obviously his untimely passing, but we added Patty Austin, but we have Bob James, a Lee Ritenour, a Dave Weckl, and a Marcus Miller, and they are working on some really, really cool things. I mean, that's a real super band. Those are stars in their own right, Grammy Award winners, just wonderful performers, and I'm pretty excited about that. Patches is back, Marcus Anderson, Jasmine Gent. If people remember her, she's the first person ever to win the opening act contest and then come back as a paid professional. So that's kind of cool. Ivan Perotti, Ms. Monet, who was a big hit last year, Marquille Jordan, and of course, we don't sail without DW3. We have 16 16 musicians. Not all the names are here, but it's almost the same group as last year. We've a couple of guys could not make it. We've added a couple of guys. We have just changed. Talia will be back. She was fantastic. She's going to do more events, more interviews. My very good friend Alonzo Bowden will of course be there. He is in charge of the funny, and he will be terrific. And our cruise director Mario Vines, who is wonderful, will be back as well. The format and the venues. This year's sailing begins our third decade, and the best is yet to come. It's kind of hard to believe. Third decade of the Smooth Jazz Cruise. When you get your performance schedule, you'll see that we identified the events as either in concert, learn, or enjoy. And the reason we do this is because in concert means that that's a music event. Some of the learn and some of the enjoy include artists, and I just don't want anybody thinking that that's going to be a musical performance when it's actually kind of a learning event, interview, or a wine tasting, or something fun like that. The entertainment format. We call this split audience format. Every night there are two main shows. I believe on this format, every single night it's the same show twice, as opposed to somebody performing early on one night and late on the other. We divide the guests in half. Those who have blue cruise identification cards and those who have red identification cards. You made this a selection when you completed your reservation, and your choice will be reflected when you get your cruise identification card. It will either have a blue background or it will have a red background. These designations are for the show. Some people view them as dining designations. Yes, there is a dining implication to it, but we define it based upon the shows. The blue guests go to the first show, and the red guests go to the second show every night. Typically, while the first show's going, the red folks are having dinner somewhere, and then it reverses. In the afternoons at sea and before and after the main shows, we have festival style. We call it cruising after dark, where we open up lots of venues, and every single one of those events are simply first come, first served. There are no tickets. There is no red, blue. You walk in, you walk out. You do not have to stay for the entire show. We call that grazing. You are free to graze and to check out what you want to. We have over 200 hours of music. Late night programming. We have the Rendezvous Lounge, which is in the middle of the ship on deck 4, turns into sort of a nightclub. We'll have music, we'll have karaoke, we'll have silent disco, lots of different things. Mario Vines is your host for that event, and that's a great place to hang. Wonderful. But we will have music or events or comedy or dancing throughout the ship. The venues, the theater, which is the main theater, holds half of the guests, and that's why we do the blue red. We divide it right in half. That seats half of our guests comfortably. It's also why it is virtually impossible if you're blue to become red or you're red to become blue, unless we have someone on the other designation that is willing to swap. We have done that, but your designation, red or blue, which is reflected in your reservation, that is pretty much going to be it. The Sky Lounge, that's on top of the ship, directly above the theater, deck 11. It's a beautiful room. That is a terrific music club. We put up our own stage there. Great bar area, lots of seating. There's some really cool afternoon shows. That's also where we do some of the late shows. It's the second, well, other than the main dining room, it is the second largest traditional venue. The Rendezvous Lounge, which is on deck 4, right in the middle of the ship, goes from one side of the ship to the other. It is a real venue. It has a built-in stage, and there's a bar at the back, lots of seating, coming and going. This is where smaller sets are. We have interviews there. It's a little more intimate. It actually feels like a jazz club. So that's kind of fun. By the pool, we have a full stage. We don't do as many music shows by the pool stage as we used to, largely because our shows have become more complicated, higher production. But we do have parties out there. We're going to have late night parties. That's where the T-shirt party is during the day, and when we're at sea, there's always something going on by the pool. The really cool thing about the Celebrity Millennium class ships, which Summit is one, is when we first walked into that Cosmopolitan restaurant, we asked the Celebrity folks if they've ever produced music there. They said no, and so we said, well, you guys are about to. It is a terrific venue, and we can set it up cabaret style by tables. We can add chairs. There's a balcony that circles it. There's a big, beautiful glass wall at the back. It sort of looks like Dizzy's Club in New York. It is just a terrific additional element for us to play with. We try to have something really cool there every night, and it's also one of the better afternoon venues because there's so much light there, so much glass. Non-music events. We have autograph sessions. We have a poster that we give out for the cruise. If you ever come to our offices here in St. Louis, that's how we decorate the office, with our posters. They're all over the place. And we have individual recording signings, signing parties, listening parties, and that's up to the individual artist as to whether or not they want to do that. We have artist-hosted events, wine tasting, food sampling, lots of things like that. Interviews. We try to move this around, different people all the time, and this is a really cool way to learn more about the artist. That is one of the big differences between going to a concert and going on a cruise. You actually get to see these people, listen to them. They're actually talking to their friends. They're in a good spot. Theme night, 25-1. The first night is a welcome to the Smooth Jazz Cruise. Next night is Black and White night, which is we ask all of our guests for the evening to either wear black or white or a black and white. Then we have Jersey night, which is wear some kind of identification for your favorite team, college, event, cause, whatever you want. Friday is Valentine's Day. So we're going to have a very nice Valentine's Day offering there. There'll be specialty dining opportunities. Flowers will be sold and available, but we're going to do the full Valentine's Day thing. Saturday is Ladies' Day and a night. That is a whole day of programming dedicated to the ladies on the ship. Sunday's formal night. We've been trying to think of a word other than formal, because it's really not formal. Back in the day, it was tuxedos and cocktail dresses and all kinds of stuff. Then it became suits and ties and cocktail dresses. Now it's primarily jackets, open shirts. Women wear whatever women wear to go out for a dinner, high-end activewear, whatever it is that you guys wear. And it's, really fun. It's really good menu that night, and our programming that night reflects it. And then the last night is thank you night, where we thank you for everything that you have done. The difference on a 25.2 is we were unable to get Congress to enact a second Valentine's Day. They refused. So we had to substitute that with a Legends Night. We're going to be honoring the legends of jazz, but all the others are similar, if not on different nights. Rendezvous at Night, as I mentioned, that is our late night club. It is in Rendezvous. There'll be lots of food. There'll be drink specials, lots of fun, games, things to win. Really cool. We're going to have game shows that include the artists, and some that include the guests, and some that include both. We've been having Band Feud for the last couple of years, which is the same as Family Feud, and that's always been a whole lot of fun. Opening act, that is our amateur contest. We'll have 3 or 4 different trials during the week, and the winner gets to perform on the All-Star night, the last night, as the opening act. As I said earlier, Jasmine Gent, who is a performer on the ship, is a former winner. Alonzo Bowden, for those who have ever sailed on any of our cruises, you know who he is. He's probably been the comic on 50 or 60 of our cruise programs. He's absolutely terrific. We have bid whist, dominoes, pickleball. We're going to have a pickleball tournament. We have a morning coffee talk where artists and even I meet our guests to have coffee and to answer questions that they may have about the cruise, about jazz, about anything. Military Heroes event. We have a breakfast for our retired military and our police, firemen, first responders, and that's always cool. We go around the entire room and everybody talks about their particular service, and it's very very inspiring. Non-music questions. Attire. The theme of the cruise is casual, except for the one formal night. I don't know what business casual means anymore. I don't know what country club casual means anymore. I don't know what any of those things mean anymore, but you have an idea as to what it is. The most important thing is to be comfortable, particularly with your footwear. Even if all that you do is go from your room to the meals to the shows, you're probably going to be walking more than you typically do when you're home. And the ship moves, and so you you actually are pressing down on your feet more than you would normally. So make sure that you have comfortable shoes that have good cushioning and all of that. Women, leave your 8-inch heels at home, and you know, it. I don't think that our cruise is a fashion show. I think it's just people having a good time and being comfortable. Nightly main show, Blue Red. We let people queue up for the nightly main show. Doors, which means the opening of the show, begins about an hour before the show, maybe a little bit longer now. You go in and you take whatever seat is available. We do have a safe system, which is called seating assistance for entry, for those who either need a special seating or need more time to get to their seat. You go online with us, you fill out our form, and then we will contact you directly. Reserve seating. We do have reserve seating. It is based solely upon the fact of whether you have sailed with us 10 or more times. You have to earn it. And but the reserved seats, which are marked, are only reserved until the show starts. So for those who have a reserved seat and you are late to the show, somebody else could be taking that particular seat. Saving seats. Anybody walking into the theater can save one seat next to them. And again, that ends when the show starts. So when you're queuing up, let's say that it's a husband and wife. Only one of them has to be in line. That person goes in, selects the seat, and then holds the seat for their husband who is losing money at blackjack. And hopefully he'll be there in time to watch the show. And if not, then you'll find somebody else who isn't losing at blackjack to be sitting next to you. But seriously, one seat can be held. We need to enforce that there have been a lot of folks in the past who have tried to reserve like a whole row, and that's just not how this is supposed to work. Okay? All other shows are first come, first served, and we try to clear the theater, the various venues after the show. We encourage grazing. That means going from one show to the other, not necessarily staying for the entire show. We do not allow camping. Camping is, let's say it's an afternoon and you look and see that the Sky Lounge has 3 shows in a row that you would like to see. You get a bedroll and a pillow and some food, and you camp out there. Trust me, that actually happens. Okay, so we are going to prevent that because that's really not fair to everyone else. Photographs, recording, you are allowed to take any photographs that you want, non-flash photography, as long as you are not impeding the sight line of anyone. If you hold your phone above your head, taking a photograph, you are more than likely making it difficult for the people behind you to see the show. As far as I'm concerned, I don't understand why anybody would do that. You're paying all this money to get on the ship to watch the shows, and then you look at it through a phone. That I've never understood that entirely. A recording is absolutely prohibited. Obviously, that is very difficult to police these days because devices have so many different capabilities, but but we try to do that. That's a contractual obligation of ours to the musicians, okay, to the artists, that people cannot record their particular music. Talking to musicians is encouraged. They love it. That is one of the great things about the cruise. We just ask you to pick and choose the right time to do it. If an artist is performing in one of the many venues, we ask that you not talk to them as they're setting up, and we ask that you not talk to them at that site after the show. They're going to move because we have to clean the area. We have to get the set ready for the next group. We will help with that. We will move the artist. But for the most part, they love talking to you in the hallways, in the ocean view, everywhere. So that's important. Merchandise, they're going to have merchandise on the ship for sale, CDs, autographs. Like I said before, we have an autograph session. The cruise has a full spa, shops, gym, lots of different things like that. Good stuff. Dining, included dining. Aubrey has done most of this. The Ocean View Cafe, breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night. There is usually pizza, pasta, and a few other things until at least 2 o'clock in the morning. So that is nice. The Cosmopolitan Restaurant is open for breakfast and dinner. That's the main dining room every night, and a lunch on days at sea, which is a really nice thing to do. We also sometimes are going to have some kind of entertainment during the lunch hour. Okay. Because of the blue and red, we have to be somewhat regimented as to when you walk into the dining room, and we will give you more information about that. But there'll be a window for the first dining and a window for the second dining as to when you need to be there in order to be served. It is a very liberal, but we need to do that in order for the flow to work. Spa Cafe, that's open for a breakfast and lunch. It's healthy choices. It is in the solarium, and a pool grill, that's for the unhealthy choices. That's hot dogs, hamburgers, French fries. If you ever need to talk to me, that is a real good place to begin your search. And that's open pretty late. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Specialty dining. Make your reservations now. We have the Tuscan Grill, which is an Italian steakhouse. It has been around forever. It has received all kinds of awards. It is probably the most popular of the celebrity specialty restaurants. Lumine, hard to describe. It's the menu changes every night, but it is sort of, I'm gonna say, continental. It's a little more highly prepared foods. There aren't a whole lot of choices every night, but again, it changes every night. But it is a beautifully prepared food. If you are a guy that likes potatoes and meat and a whole bunch of food, that is not the place to go. But it is a very romantic and very pleasant place to have dinner. Okay. Sushi on 5, believe it or not, is sushi on a deck 5. I know that name was very confusing, but and that's not an upcharge restaurant. There you actually pay by the item. Okay. They're open every day for certain hours. They do carryouts. Um, the I know people who eat every single meal there, and they pick. Boney James goes there every day, gets his dinner, and goes back to his room with it. So it's obviously pretty good. We then take over two spaces that are dining themes of ours. I mean, we create the menu. Last year we had Jazz Cruises Chops House, and that's at Blue. That is a steakhouse. That is a traditional steakhouse, and it was mobbed and it was great. It really, if that's what you like, steaks and chops and all of the side dishes that are normally there, you're gonna love it. It is a terrific place. The Big Easy at Cuisine. For those who have sailed with us before, Cuisine is the restaurant in the center of the ship, all the way up on top, and that's usually where Le Petit Chef is. That's the animated dining experience, and that will be available, I think, 3 nights of each week, and then the other nights will be the Big Easy there. And again, we have that is easy to figure out. That is New Orleans style, and that'll be terrific. Really, really good. We had something similar to this last time, and they really do that food very, very good. The shrimp and crab cakes and all of that. It was really good. Room service. Their breakfast and all the other meals. It used to be free. It isn't anymore. $9.95 or $9.50, something like that. When it was free, I could argue perhaps that it made sense. Now that it isn't free, I don't think it makes sense at all. Let me explain. I know where your stateroom is, and I know where the kitchen is, and I know that they will put your meal on a carrying thing that has all kinds of layers. The odds of that meal getting to you in a way that you would like to enjoy it is remote at best. Okay. I know some people, they think being on a cruise, that is synonymous with, breakfast in the room. And I appreciate that, and I honor that, and I wish them the best. But unless you're sick and need your food brought in, I can tell you it's faster to go to the Ocean View Cafe, get your breakfast, and bring that back to your room. Much faster, okay, and much better. So when it was free, okay, but now that they're charging for it, I do not recommend it. Okay, I think I have no idea how many days I have been at sea during my life. I have never had room service delivered to my room. Takeaways. Make sure that your passport is valid and that you know where it is. There will be 3 to 7 people every year who either don't have a passport, a passport is out of date, something. You got to have a passport, okay? Complete the online checking as soon as the service is activated. Get that done, get that over with. Complete as many purchases and reservations as you can before boarding the ship. You do not want to spend the first day on the ship wandering around, standing in various lines, securing reservations that you could have done weeks and months before. We will be sending out the performance schedule, pre-planning your show schedule is very important. Most of these non-main events are only performed once, and so you're going to pick and choose. You're going to decide which item you're going to go to, which event you're going to go to, and they have to be overlapping. We can't take 2,000 passengers and say everybody goes from one event to the next event to the next event. You're going to be making choices, and so the earlier that you get the information, the more time you will have to create the kind of show schedule that you want. Be sure to allow for extra time to reach the cruise terminal and arrive during your time slot. We sail on a Tuesday. It's a business day. There'll be traffic. Give yourself some time. And oh, by the way, we don't pick Tuesday. They assign us Tuesday, and part of that is because the Celebrity Summit is really not a Fort Lauderdale ship. It's either in San Juan or some other place, and they then reposition the ship for us, and they have a dead day there to do it. And so we have to pick our times based upon when they can move the ship and when they can park the ship at the terminal. For those who are not aware, during the pandemic, most of all cruise ships were at sea because there aren't enough ports for the cruise ships to be in. So they had like six and seven of them circling one island. Okay, that's how that works. So that's why it is a little more difficult. Except for one night, a cruise is casual in terms of attire. Be comfortable. Your choice of clothing should reflect the fact that irons and steamers are not allowed on the ship. Room service and a dry cleaning. Those are my two pet peeves about a ship. A dry cleaning is slow, expensive, and they don't do a very good job. So unless you really need to have something pressed or something like that, I would start wearing clothes that don't need to be pressed. But anyway, that's word to the wise. If you plan on dining with a particular group of guests in the main dining room, be sure to submit your group dining information. We can accommodate almost any group as long as we have notice ahead of time. Take a moment to decide how you wish to spend your time when we are in a port. We're not there that long. We don't go to that many places. Our cruise programming is really not geared towards the ports of call. It is geared toward the music and the entertainment. So make the most of the time when we are in port. I had something. No. Try as hard as you can to leave your work, your obligation, and your worries at home. Be sure to pack your smile, your love of this amazing music, and most of all, your humanity. The Smooth Jazz Cruise, in particular, is one of the most inclusive, cohesive, friendly atmospheres I've ever been on. I look forward to it every year because people are having so much fun, and it's people from all over the country, all over the world, from any and all backgrounds. It is just a really joyous week where you don't think about much other than just enjoying the music, and you are with 2,000 people who most of them you don't know, but all of whom are there for the same reason you're there. And so friendships grow and continue. I know lots of people who have made lifelong friendships on the ship, and they see each other maybe not even more than a once a year when they sail. Okay. Do we have some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What would you recommend as far as transportation services to and from the airport?
Celebrity does actually have
Yeah.
that as an availability.
Yeah.
So that is the one that I would definitely recommend to any guest. It's pretty affordable, and they run it well.
The airport to the port is not very long at all. So it is not an expensive taxi ride. It is not an expensive Uber ride. But just as Aubrey said, there is the a celebrity transportation. The one thing about a Tuesday is that there probably aren't that many ships there. So securing ground transportation should be easier. Next.
Absolutely. What is the protocol, Aubrey, for two people in the same stateroom that are looking to purchase a alcohol package and a non-alcohol package?
So Celebrity has, they instituted a new rule as of last year, where guests in the same stateroom must purchase the same type of beverage package unless one of the exclusions or the exceptions applies. Those are medical, health, religious reasons. So if any of those exceptions apply to you, what you should do is call Celebrities, their number that we have on our booked guest page, and you can talk to them and let them know what the reason is. I will say that this year they are being a little bit more difficult, and if one of those exceptions does not apply to you, or that you don't state it in a way that it applies to you, they won't necessarily help you. So I would make sure that you have your reasoning lined up and ready to talk through when you're asking them.
Yeah, please know that we have fought this with them. This is the issue is cheating. People, one person gets it and then the other person doesn't, and they wind up abusing the system. I would like to think that they could figure out a way to avoid that, but yeah, they become a little more difficult. In that situation, I would urge both people to purchase a non-alcoholic package, and then just be judicious when you are ordering your alcohol. Okay. In fact, I think that applies across the board. Okay. Unless you know that you are going to drink a lot. Okay. I would advise people for their system to get a non-alcoholic beverages that has the coffees and the waters and sodas and all of that, and then just buy your drinks when it's time to buy your drinks. I did the math a couple of times. You have to drink a pretty good amount of alcohol to make that work. And furthermore, you're not really saving. In order to save, you have to drink more than that. Okay. In other words, if all you do is you break even, then you're still better doing that. Okay. So you have to really. It is like to break even, it is like 7 drinks a day. Okay, 7 alcoholic beverages a day. I mean, or 6 or something like that. I'm old and decrepit, so I can't do that. And anyway, next.
We have a lot of excitement and questions about the cruise app, specifically ours. When will you guys be launching that? And do we have to have a Wi-Fi package in order to use it?
Aubrey? The answer is no to the last one.
Correct. We'll launch it probably in early January. It will definitely be communicated via email and be included in one of the Get Ready emails particularly. We do encourage everyone to book that prior to getting on board. It works a lot smoother if you do that. In particular, if you are not purchasing a Wi-Fi package, then you definitely should download it prior to getting on board. And then once you do get on board, what I would do is refresh so that you have at least the most up-to-date when we leave. You do not need a Wi-Fi package in order to access it. It will be whitelisted on board, which means even without a Wi-Fi connection, you can still access it. The last minute changes that happen, and we do some proactive push notifications where you might receive a message. If you don't have an active Wi-Fi connection, you would not receive those. But generally speaking, the bulk of everything is going to be very up to date, and it's really quite easy. You can also refresh when you get into port if you do not have a Wi-Fi connection.
And as to modifications of the schedule, we announce those over the public address all the time, or they'll be in the daily program. You're going to know it. Okay, next.
Are guests allowed to bring liquor on board, water, soda, other items than the 1 bottle of wine per person? And should they carry it or put it in their checked luggage?
Great question. No to liquor. If you purchase liquor in port, you can bring it. They will hold it for you and they'll give it to you on the last day. However, you cannot consume the liquor while you are on board. On embarkation day, guests may bring on water and soda. There's not a hard limit, but you do need to hand carry it. So you should not pack it into your checked luggage. You will need to hand carry it, and it's limited to the amount that you can hand carry. So for me, that might be a 6-pack of water or 12-pack of water. I don't think I could probably hold too much more than that. But they do not have a hard limit on that. It is only on embarkation day that you can bring that.
And I've done that math as well. You're better off with the a non-alcoholic package than being a Sherpa and carry a whole bunch of water. That I'll tell you now. Next.
In regards to bringing things on the ship, how many pieces of luggage can they bring aboard?
Bring as many as you want.
You just have to fit them in your cabin.
Right. Right.
Will there be events on board for solo guests?
Yes. Yes, there will be.
How does a guest book the artist hosted events, specifically the wine tasting?
We will have
Aubrey?
those available to book on board the ship at our guest services desk. So typically we will put those in one of the last Get Ready emails so that people know what is available. And then once you get on board, you can go to our guest services desk, which is on deck 3, and sign up for those. And those will be billed to your onboard account.
All right. And then for guests utilizing our pre-cruise hotel transportation service, is the tipping for the porter included?
Yes.
Yes.
And the last question that seems to cater to several people, it looks like we have a few more questions that are very specific that I'll be happy to answer following. But can we review the back-to-back sailing procedure for guests that are sailing both weeks?
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. One cruise docks early in the morning. Everybody who is leaving that ship leaves no later than 9:30. Boarding starts at 11:30 or so for the next cruise. If you are staying on, it is called in transit. We do that every week. We gather in the main dining room. We have breakfast. We wait until zero count, which means that everyone is off the ship. They then take us. Sometimes you walk off the ship. Sometimes you just walk around. It is a fluid situation, and then you're back on the ship, and they give you a card. You're a new cruise identification card, and that's all there is to it. You don't pack, unpack unless you're moving cabins, and that is just that simple. Okay. So I'm going to talk really briefly about 26 because those are out there. If you've been on the websites 26.1 and the 26.2, they've got terrific lineups, really cool. A 26.1 is over 70% already reserved. 26.2 is over 80% done. And so if in fact you're interested in those, I would urge you to do that. For those who are on 26.1 and want to add some time, the week before that cruise on the same ship, just like always, will be the inaugural sailing of Christian McBride's World at Sea. We have made that announcement. The lineup will be out soon. It's really going to be cool. It is a jazzy event, and it's all about Christian McBride and all of his various groups and performing groups. But he's able to secure some really top-notch players, and that'll be great. We just recently launched 26.3 because 26.1 and 2 were basically fully reserved. There were people that we wanted to address, so we're going the West Coast, and that leaves on September 11th to the 18th, and that'll go from Vancouver to Victoria to San Francisco to Los Angeles. We're going to have overnights in San Francisco, late night in Victoria. For those who are interested, if you go on the Journey of Jazz site, which you can book as well, for a 2025, you'll see a whole list of amazing San Francisco excursions that we have curated. Visits to Sonoma, Napa, the Napa Valley, a wine train, shows at SF Jazz. It's really cool to be able to do this. And so we are doing it for the West Coast cruise. And if you want to add time to that, Bodie at Sea is moving to the West Coast for 26, and it is sailing right after 26.3. So you can begin in Victoria, you can begin in Vancouver, go to Victoria, go to San Francisco, go to LA, and then come right back. Go to San Francisco, go to Victoria, go to Vancouver. Okay? So it's lots of opportunities. Open booking for a 26.3 begins tomorrow. We have just finished all of the pre-sale reservations. this is a really good opportunity to pick a cabin, because unlike 26-1 and 2, there was no 25.3. So typically the first group of cabins that go are folks that are already on a cruise and they get to keep their cabin. Well, that wasn't the case here. So as of this moment, there are some, I even think there's a couple suites left. Yes, no, maybe. Am I wrong about that?
Guy Suites, yes.
Yeah, we have a couple suites left even, which is unbelievably rare, okay? But that's doing very, very well. But because of the nature of how those reservations flow, you have a chance to really upgrade or select a stateroom that you might not otherwise have been able to reserve. That's a lot of words. We're gonna answer your questions directly by email. I just want to take one moment to say, the Smoon Jazz cruise is amazing. For those who do not know, the cruise that you guys are sailing on, 25-1 and your 25-2, there are 4,000 people on the wait list. 4,000. It's because it's always been a fun cruise. It's because the talent has always been good. We have worked hard to make sure that we put our money on stage, that we make sure we have the most musicians and the best musicians, and it has attracted just a terrific group of people coming to the cruise. And for those who have never sailed with us before, we're sailing on this for the first time. Prepare to love it, and prepare to love your fellow guests. I love the guests. I just think we just have more fun with our guests than any of the other cruises. I mean, that's all there is to it. So we look forward to seeing you guys. And again, there's just something very special about the Smooth Jazz cruise. Okay. Any other question? Nothing. Okay, you guys. You have a good week. Call us if you need us. Read the Weekender. You can email me from the Weekender. My email address is there. I will answer any and all questions. And if you try to call me, you have no chance. I'm only kidding. Because I'm way behind on my phone calls. Everything else okay? Thanks, guys, very much. Bye.